to Finding Calm in the Chaos. I am Denise Sith, and this is my podcast. Hello, my friends. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to another episode of Finding Calm in the Chaos. Thank you so much, everyone. The numbers last week, first time coming back from the sabbatical, were fantabulous. I appreciate you. If you haven't already, make sure that you follow the podcast and like the episodes. Appreciate it. It helps me on the platform just get noticed so they know that I'm back. So appreciate that. Got a lot of feedback on last week's episode, just on my demeanor and how I'm slowly kind of getting life. Like, better late than never. Always. Life is a work in progress. I do not like to use the terms self-development anymore because I think there's a whole group of people who really prey on that, and just kind of take advantage of people. But I do think it's self-growth, as you are moving along in life and as you get older, specifically, you really do have a new perspective on things. And I do not want to waste any of my remaining time on this planet doing ridiculous things like I was, just constantly in a state of anxiety and worry and compulsion. And it's just not worth it. Look around and enjoy your surroundings and enjoy the moment. And it is way easier said than done, is what most people will say, but it actually is quite that easy. You just have to find what is going to be your new trigger. Crazy, right? My triggers, once I identified them all, I spent so much time trying to make them go away. Or for me, basically thinking that my whole family would change who they were to avoid my triggers. When you think about that, a lot of people feel like that. They go to therapy, they find out what their triggers are, and they're like, you're triggering me. You should not do that. Well, technically, they're my triggers. They're not anybody else's triggers. So why do they have to stop doing what they do because of me? In all honesty, they don't. And this is my realization over the last 3 months. Your triggers are your triggers. Where it doesn't matter where they come from, whether or not it's just because you have an OCD or anxiety, or you lived a poopy life, or you were, abused younger, whether it be any, form, it doesn't matter, right? Childhood trauma. Your triggers are your triggers, and it's your responsibility, even in therapy, to own them. Now, although my therapist does not do this, a lot of therapists will almost say that it is actually almost your right to identify that, and people have to do or abide by what makes you feel better. But this world doesn't revolve around you. This world doesn't revolve around me. The only thing this world revolves around is the damn sun. Okay. And so all we need to do is concentrate on how I am going to respond to my triggers. If something triggered me, how am I going to do it? Well, I'm going to tell you. The trigger is a bad word. We have used the word trigger to define an action and not a circumstance. Okay? Oh, you're triggering me. An action, not a circumstance. Because we don't want to own up to our circumstance. Or maybe you do. I don't know. For me, I'm talking about me. Remember, I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a doctor. I'm just somebody who lived a lot of life in 55 years. And I see a therapist forever. So here's the free stuff I get taught. Okay. And just revelations that I come up with. Everyone's like, Denise, how do you come up with all this stuff? Life. That's how I come up with this stuff. Life, man. And a lot of learning. Triggers are, if you are using your triggers as actions, defining them as actions, you're on the wrong path. I was way off. Triggers are a response, okay, to something. The action could be totally fine. but you can't expect other people to tiptoe around your triggers. And if you have triggers that are like super, super bad, you know, like I get super triggered to use again when I'm around drug addicts. I get super triggered to drink when I'm around people who drink. Then you are following the wrong crowds. And again, it is your responsibility to pick yourself up and put yourself in a circumstance that doesn't trigger you. Okay? That changes your reaction. Because a trigger is not a reaction. It is is not an action. It is a reaction that we have been doing. Sorry, I almost like ruined the whole thing there. So once I did that, I was like, you know what? I need to control this. People's actions are their actions. You cannot control other people. Although the world might seem to tell you that can be otherwise. It is not. And that is why we're in the trouble in the world that we are today. Everybody is not like everybody. Period. There is not even a discussion behind it. The fact is, I am me and you are you and they are they. And I don't mean to use pronouns to like make fun of, but we are where we are. Because if you are following me after all these years, you know that there are two pronouns, he and she, period. Okay. That's all I'm going to say. Now, you might believe you have another pronoun, but that is a personal belief. That is not a reality. And that's your reality, not my reality. Therefore, you can't step into the real world and expect everybody with their individual realities to force them upon myself. Because if I personally did that, a lot of people would be upset because my realities are fucking insane. Okay. I'm just going to tell you guys that now. If I came to your house and was like, you know what, you're getting up at 5:00 today. You know why? 5 a.m. Because we need to go downstairs and you need to vacuum your fucking couch. And then we're going to empty the dishwasher. Then you're going to vacuum, but then you have to Swiffer after you vacuum. Why, Denise? I have a good vacuum because that's what I do. That's my reality. So now it's your reality. Oh, and by the way, we just vacuumed in front of this window and the window's dirty. So you need to clean it. Not just the inside, but the outside too. And the screen's shitty. So you got to clean the screen. Oh, and this little well, see this black stuff in it? Yeah, that's got to come out too. Was that our original intent? Nope. We were just going to vacuum, but welcome to my world. You're in my world now. First off, people would have an amazingly clean house. Number two, seriousness aside and funny, okay? You can't expect people to live like you do. That's what makes us so unique and wonderful. You know what I'm saying? So, no, don't do it. So I altered the way my triggers. I have a trigger that came from somebody's actions that in my mind have been wired to have a negative reaction. Therefore, I needed to replace that habit. It's a habit, a bad habit, but it's a habit nonetheless. I'm going to replace that bad habit with a good habit. What can I do instead of flipping out? What can I do instead of verbally berating somebody? What can I do if I didn't do the first two? Instead of beating myself up and rehearsing the situation over and over in my head to where I don't even know where I am. I'm just showing up in a bodily form, but my mind is nowhere near that. And that includes vacation, pleasure time, on a phone, anywhere. I needed to change that because I was missing out on things. I was present, but I wasn't present. I was just there in a body. And so this vacation really, really, really helped me exercise all of those new good habits when I personally had reactionary triggers. Did I have triggers? Yeah, I had triggers, but I handled them all like a champ. I am so proud of myself. Like I handled it. And I never enjoyed myself as much as I did in my life on this vacation because I was present there. I literally was present. I involved myself. I absorbed myself into where I was and therefore had the best time. And that brings me to my bucket list. Yep, we're talking about the bucket list today. I ticked off a bucket list item. Everyone's like, Denise, Italy's not a bucket. It is, but I've always wanted to go to Verona. Verona, not Verona. Don't get that not confused with the Romeo and Juliet deal, but that's also in Italy. We thought about it, but we went with the first plan. It's actually the second plan. So we have 3 plans just in case. But we did a day trip when we were in Milan to Lake Como. Lake Como is a big lake, and it's shaped like a Y. Okay, like a capital letter Y. Como, the city, is at the bottom. In the middle of the Y, the stem at the top, is the Bellagio. And then you got the 2 big Ys, the V at top, right? On the right side would be Verona, and on the left side would be Menaggio. Yes, there's a Bellagio, a Menaggio, a Verona, and then at the bottom, Como. Most people are familiar with Como just because of Lake Como. Lots of people go to Verona as well. Bellagio is the big fancy one because that's where all the celebrities and everybody goes. It's also filled with tourists. It's insane. And I'm not saying that Verona's not, but it's a little less. Most people will go there to take the ferry over to Bellagio and Menaggio. So, you know, I thought I've always wanted to go. It is like that beautiful little picturesque town up on the, you know, the hill, up the cliffs up against the lake. Everything's built basically up and into the hills and the mountainsides. It is super close. While you were on Lake Como, we did a boat tour. You can actually, on the other side of one set of mountains across from Verona is Switzerland. That's how close it is. It's just beautiful. Okay. So just picture that kind of, you know, just stunning scenery and agriculture. It's just beautiful. Right. So we drove there. So we took a day trip because they were doing, repair work on the tracks. So the train wasn't running regularly. And in Italy, so in the event, here's a little travel tip for you guys. If you ever go to Italy, take note. They, especially during tourist season, which is apparently now May through September, like mid-September. During tourist season, the transportation system will periodically strike. And they do this to make a point, get wages, all that. I don't really care the point. You just need to know that they do this. It is not sporadic. They literally list the days and the hours that they're striking. Don't travel on those days. That's all. We work ourselves around it. They list them like a year ahead. So you're good to go with planning. So it's not a big deal. But they're kind enough to at least let you know when. So I'm always worried, like I'm worried, but like I'm always like wondering is people are like, oh my God, I went up there and my trains were canceled because there were no trains. And here's me. Well, didn't you look at the list? Everybody knows there's a list. And if you didn't, well, now you do. So there's no excuse for you either. We drove. We didn't want to deal with the fact that there was a possible strike happening at the time we booked. So we just thought there's already construction, so let's not even bother. And then we looked and we thought, well, even if we took the train's going to Como, but the train was not going all the way to Verona because the track was being maintenance. So that kind of made the decision for us. So we rented a car. And when I say we, I mean Mr. Sith did. What he didn't do, okay, when we were in Milan, he went to pick up the car. He drove it back. It was like awesome. It was brand new, blah, blah, blah. You know, it was a nice car. It was clean. It was a manual. So this is usually, I feel like these are American problems. Now, we didn't think it was going to be a big problem. I've driven a manual before. Mr. Sith has driven a manual before. I have not driven a manual in like 25 years. But I mean, I'm sure it's like riding a bike. Once you get the hang of it, you can go, right? But there is a learning curve in a clutch, okay? So Mr. Sith, really, I appreciate that he did this. He got us to Verona. I mean, that's the ultimate story. He got us there and back. But on the way there, he was really struggling with first and second gear. For whatever reason, every clutch is different. When you're driving a stick shift, you got to get the feel of your car. There is a time that the car will tell you it's ready to shift and you just shift. Okay. I know it seems weird. Like, well, what do you mean? It literally will tell you. It sounds different. It runs different. You could feel it. And you just, go down on a clutch, shift the gear to the next one up and go at it. For some reason, the car was a little tricky in 1 and 2, probably because it's been so long, but trying to get out of Milan, which is like a heavily trafficked big city, okay, was a little tricky. And of course, every time we stopped, slowed down, stop signs, traffic, lights, we had to go back into first and second gear. Mr. Sith would have trouble. The car would die. That would ensue. People behind us beeping, becoming frustrated because most of these people just trying to get to and from work. Okay. I mean, understand, you're there as a visitor in somebody's country. They still have to go to work and do stuff. So I felt horrible that we struggled, but I just thought, instead of like freaking out and like screaming at them, that's not going to help anything, right? Right? Why did you get a stick shift? Why didn't you get an automatic? All you had to do was ask. Nope. I just said, you got this. You just got to just tune everybody out. And I'd be like, please, Jesus, help him. Like, get this. Like, help him soothe his mind and reduce this anxiety or any pressure that he might have on himself right now. Let the people go around. I don't care. Let the people go around. Needless to say, we got on the highway and we were good to go. Okay, so then we were fine. Once we were on the highway, we're going at a decent speed. There is no issues. We get to Verona and I'm like, well, thank God. Okay, thank God we're here. He's driving much better. And we're doing like stop and go still when we get into Verona because you're kind of driving along for a while up against Lake Como. It's beautiful, right? And everything's blooming in Italy right now. So there's tons of bougainvillea and just flowers everywhere, okay? And then we get to the traffic park. There is a garage there, a big garage. And so everybody just, if you drove, you park in the garage and then you just pay for it and drive out when you're done, okay? Because it is a walking town. It is walking, okay? There is no driving in town there. So I'm like, I mean, if you're a local, I guess you do, but not, it's just small, right? The whole town itself is like an hour and a half walking all the streets, okay? And it's beautifully like in this little section and seaport. It's just gorgeous. All the buildings are a different color. We get to the parking garage and it's a corkscrew at like a 60-degree angle. And here's me. Oh, Jesus, we're going to need your help now. So it was rough. You guys, I'm not going to say that it is something we'll never forget for the rest of our life. Is my poor husband at a 60-degree angle in a corkscrew parking lot. And that every time he got into first successfully and we started to proceed, he had to gas up, which then caused the clutch to want to go into second. He tried to go into second, had trouble, and it would die, and we'd coast backwards, and we'd have to put the brake on. It's another thing. Just know the brake is your best friend if you're driving a manual car. We were fine until somebody pulled up behind us, and they were kind enough at one point knowing that we were probably Americans renting a car, and we don't know how to drive a manual car like proficiently. They backed up and went around us to like ease the pressure. And then I said, you know what? You got this. Just literally gas up. Like, you've got this. You've got this. We backed up a little to where the guy, because there's nobody behind us again, and he was able to get it back into gear so that we can get up and park. And then that was that, right? That was that. So the Verona trip, you guys, if you ever get a chance to go to Verona in Italy, off Lake Como, highly suggest. The first thing you're doing when you walk from the garage, like to the side streets to get in, right? It's like cobblestone. It's beautiful, right? The first thing you see is like this corridor between two buildings. And when you look through it, there are these almost cobblestone pebble stairs. They're not like stairs where they're actual risers. They're almost like ramped stairs, which I personally found a little easier to get up and about on than the risers. So I loved it, but it literally would take you down these like riser stairs straight into the water. So you could see little bits of the ocean and the trees and stuff through the buildings. You could have like gelato and sit on, they literally had this like these big corridors that these like riser stairs were on, and they would throw like lawn pillows out and you could sit on the stairs and eat the gelato and just look out into Lake Como and see all the beautiful hills and the mountains and the walkways that went around it. And it was truly magical. We wound up renting a boat. I highly suggest, I don't know what any of the other boat, I believe there's just one boat rental there, unless there's private boat rentals. I don't know, like individuals. We rented through a company called Verena Boat Company, and they were fantastic. The boat was impeccable. We had a classic Venetian boat. Like they can go fast, guys. Those boats are fast. They're expensive. Some of those Venetian boats can be up to $1 million. That's how expensive they are. But our captain driver was Federico. The place was really nice. It was clean. They were friendly. Everybody spoke English. Not that that's like expected, but it was a nice pleasure to have. I was able to pretty much, the first time I went to Italy in 23, I could pick and choose words and get us through. Like I knew where stuff was. I knew, basic words. So basically like picking words and pleasantries. Thank you. Hello. You're welcome, please, that kind of stuff. But the second time I went, I was able to understand everybody. I knew what was being told to me. What, again, I couldn't do is respond appropriately outside of rehearsed things that I knew I would have to say over and over again. How to order food, how to order beverages, how to order coffee in the morning, how to say thank you, how to ask for directions. That kind of stuff. But the fact that they spoke English, most Italians speak English, just FYI, just don't expect it to be English. I always say if you try to lead with the country's language first, they will be super excited, unless you're in France. Personal joke. And if they speak English, they will most likely speak English with you. The boat was beautiful. Federico was awesome. The place was clean. We were told to use like the restroom facilities before we left. We all took our shoes off before we got in. So they actually rolled the boat through. So they launched the boat when we got there. It wasn't just kept in. And we took off our shoes and socks, and I rolled up my pants, and we were able to literally just kind of walk through this pier that you were like covered in water up to your ankles. It felt so good because, guys, it was hot. It was not uncomfortably hot, but warm, right? And the fact that we had overcast that day made it perfect. It was perfect. And so we got on the boat, and then we were able to just be barefoot on the boat until we got off. And then we disembarked at an actual place like right next to it on the other side, so we wouldn't have to walk over and just chill out where all the restaurants and like less industrial part is. But it was a beautiful tour. They gave us so many viewpoints and history, and just how the fact that their cemetery is built into the mountain. It just like things you don't think of. People live there, the families that have owned mansions there forever off Lake Como, and families that have bought or have huge homes there that haven't been there in like 10 years. It's insane. I'm like, oh my gosh, if I was in that house, I'd be there every weekend. I wouldn't even move out of it. I would never come home. Mr. Sith enjoyed himself wholeheartedly, as did Peter and Angelina. At one point, Ange just moved up to the front, and me and Mr. Sith just kind of chilled in the back. But Peter, I mean, how could you not love a boat? He was speeding up for the kids and stuff like that. So we had a great time. The history behind everything was absolutely stunning. He took great pictures of us. Afterwards, we were exploring the city, and that was just like, they have a church there. There's church everywhere, obviously, but there are frescoes there from 30 AD that are still on the walls. It is absolutely breathtaking. Did that. We went and ate at this beautiful, there's tons of restaurants. Some are, tourist driven. You just got to kind of feel it out. My advice is, I'm giving you guys a tip. Everyone's always like, how do you find the best places to eat or the places that aren't touristy? I do not like the touristy stuff at all. Now, during this time, it was busy. It wasn't horrible, but it was busy. There were people there, but it wasn't horrible. We waited maybe about 15 minutes for a table at this place to eat, only because they had outside seating, and we wanted to sit and look at Lake Como, and that's exactly what we did. We had trees around us. It was just gorgeous. Everything was cobblestone, so it's not like you're on dirt or mud or stuff like that. But looks like Buster's gonna have an episode with my FedEx man. We'll see. He's actually delivering his pet's table food, so there's that. Sit down, Bubba. Nope. Yeah, see, that wasn't gonna happen. Close but no cookie. Buster's back. Okay, so continuing with Verona. So many beautiful things. We basically wandered up and down all the streets. There were a few places I knew that we wanted to stop. The one was, we stopped at the one restaurant. Little tip. Okay, here's the tip. Sorry, I wasn't going to forget about the tip, guys. A lot of people go to Google or to Yelp for travel advice. And a lot of Americans use TripAdvisor. Is it TripAdvisor? I don't know, right? TripAdvisor? I got to check. I got to check my phone because I'm not really sure. I think it's TripAdvisor. I can never remember, where's my travel? Yeah, TripAdvisor. The little owl with the glasses. So, basically, TripAdvisor's great, but I feel like it's skewed because Americans think, in all honesty, most Americans travel like our shit doesn't stink. Like, I understand that, and I am super proud that we are the greatest country in the world. But if you are traveling, you're traveling to absorb and visit other cultures, not expect everything to be like America. If you want everything to be like America, stay in America. So a lot of times reviews are skewed based on cultural differences from Americans who are leaving bad reviews because they expect where they're going to be like America. And it's not. We're in Italy. For instance, a lot of people will tell you that the restaurants suck because they had to pay for water. Well, technically, you don't have to pay for water. Americans, we expect water at every table sitting that we sit at. In Europe, when they sit down at a table, they will order a drink or they will order a bottled water. And you will be asked if you want naturale, which is flat water, regular water, or frizzante, which is sparkling water. Okay? It may or may not be mineral water because they drink that all the time because it's good for you. But if you don't want to pay, you'll have to pay for the bottle. They'll bring a big bottle to your table and you have little glasses and you could just pour them amongst yourselves. Okay. We would get usually a bottle of frizzante for me and Mr. Sith and a bottle of the naturale or the flat for Peter and Angelina. If you want water in Italy, you can ask for tap water. Okay. And they will give you tap water. Most water in Italy is really yummy, so it's fine. But if you ask for, and then they get really mad about it and write a bad review. We didn't even get water. We got charged for water. Yeah, you did because they brought you bottled water. Duh. That's the culture. Also, people who incessantly complain that they sat there for hours and nobody came to their table. That's a blessing. I This is an aspect of Italy that I wholeheartedly embrace, and a lot of European cultures do as well. When you make reservations in a fairly popular or a good restaurant, okay, you can't just walk into a restaurant. We talked about the last episode. Most people will eat about after 7 o'clock. Most Italians eat about 8, 9, 10. Some eat later on the weekends. Okay. If we usually made reservations at 7 and didn't have any problems getting them, but you must make a reservation, because if someone else made a reservation after you at 8 o'clock, that means that you only have the table for an hour, which is fine if you're an American. But we truly wanted to embrace the Italian culture. So we would call and make the reservation, which means that that table is usually probably only going to be used one more time that evening. They factor that in. If you make a reservation at 8:30 for dinner, that table is yours for the rest of the evening. They don't bother you while you're eating. It is a social activity of relaxation and enjoyment to eat in Italy. There are multiple courses. You don't have to get them all at once. You don't have to order them all at once. You can order after you've already ate because you've decided you wanted something else. And that might even be before dessert. You may or may not have dessert. You may do drinks. You may do whatever, but you're just going to talk, and you're going to have coffee at the end, and it's going to be wonderful. And they are going to expect that they will be there. If you need them, you will ask them. Let me say that again. You have to ask them. And when I say that, you have to flag them down. Like, everything that you've been told here in America is rude and obnoxious. Like, don't be like, come on over here. That's rude and obnoxious. But you might have to make eye contact numerous times and wave your hands nicely. Smile. They'll come. Ask you what you need. Now, don't think they're going to be like, oh my gosh, is there something I can get for you? No, they're not going to do that. They're going to be like, did you need something? Yeah, I did. And then just tell them what you need. When you're ready to go, you got to ask for the bill. They're not going to bring it to you. You can die there. They're not going to bring you the bill. They just don't. And when you, not everybody's really strict on this. I don't know. My Italian friends, they differ on whether or not you should do this or whether it's like highly practiced. But everywhere I've went, I believe, has been fairly practicing what we've been doing. And so if you leave your plate and let's just say you got a pasta, they will bring bread to your table. The bread is Americans. This is an alert. Bread alert. Boop, boop, boop. Bread alert. When they bring bread to your table in Italy, don't ask for olive oil. Don't dip it in shit. Don't eat it before you get it. Don't ask for butter. You know what I'm saying? The bread is there so that when you finish your meal, you can use the bread to sop up the gravy, the sauce, the whatever's on your plate that you want to sop up because it's freaking delicious. It's called scarpetta. And usually if they don't see a swipe on the plate, something might be wrong. So they might be a little concerned. Like, wonder if something went wrong there. Okay. If there was something wrong with the meal and you didn't like it and you didn't address it, usually there's a way to put your cutlery on your plate. Usually it's facing straight up and down on your plate or your bowl, and the fork is turned sideways over the knife. Those of you might not understand that, but that is etiquette. Just saying. We did scarpetta everywhere we went because why wouldn't you? Like, it is freaking delicious. Okay. I'm trying to think, like, what did we have to eat in Verona? We stopped. I think we got pizza because they had pizza there. So we got a couple different kinds of pizzas and basically a charcuterie board. And it was amazing. I don't remember what I had outside of, no, that was it. That's what we ate. And then when we walked around, we were looking for another place because we wanted to have gelato because gelato everywhere. If you're not eating gelato, and if you've never been to Italy, gelato here is, unless you're in a place that makes gelato, it's not the same gelato that's in Italy. And it's, your ice cream, Denise. Balderdash. Okay. It is not. I don't know. Balderdash is hogwash. There you go. It is not. It is not. Gelato is like, to me, the greatest like frozen like creation of all time. It is just the flavors, the consistencies. This isn't just like chocolate and strawberry but some of these places regionally will do regional flavors. And I encourage everyone, if you're ever in Italy, to think out of the box and ask what their regional favorite is amongst the locals. Now, my niece, I think I mentioned, got basically the mango and the fragola, which is strawberry, or raspberry when they didn't have the strawberry, because it's not like they didn't make strawberry. It's usually the first thing to go. And she was amazed at how it differed in every city and in every shop within those cities even. Peter's usually pretty good with the chocolates. He loves chocolate, anything, chocolate hazelnut, chocolate whatever. But he actually, like, well, I'm trying to think what I got. He actually enjoys his gelato. He eats it just like he did in 23, but like he was a little neater this time. But he always has food all over his clothes. Like, I'm spot cleaning after every day. Welcome to having a 9-year-old. So the church that we went to, that when we were in Verona, was the Church of San Giorgio. It was consecrated in 1313. It's insane. And they're saying that it is a perfect representation example of 14th century Lombard architecture. Amazing. And amazing frescoes inside. But it is in the center of town. And it's awesome. It is absolutely awesome. It was gorgeous. Looking at all, I will tell you that the best view in Verona is from the parking garage. Kid you not. We got to the parking garage, and by that time we were we were excited, right? I mean, obviously we're already in the parking garage. We got there, but we were so excited about just being there. We just got down right away, right? We just took the elevator down, and that was that. But on the way there, we were like, wow, look at the view. Like, we didn't even see it coming in. So we all took a look. We took our pictures. Some of our best pictures are from there. It was a great landscape of everything. Few beautiful buildings. There's a convent monastery that you look down on, and it's right off the lake. I mean, you're literally right on the lake. It was beautiful. What did I learn from my trip to Verona? To just be in the moment. Something that I know I would not have enjoyed and did not enjoy 2 years ago, just being in Italy, was being able to sit at the table and just eat and relax and just look at everything around you. The shops and what's in the shops and the colors and the colors. Oh God, you guys, the colors. Everything is just beautiful. Yellows and greens and blues and reds and oranges. It's just, everything is so colorful. It's just, you can't help but be like, these people are happy people because they're surrounded by this all the time. My house is gray, bluish. Like, what? I mean, I don't want to paint my walls yellow, but I'm saying it's just, when you take in everything that's around you, the blessing just becomes real for a change. And I've never been able to do that. And doing that in this circumstance was just outstanding. We did get back into the parking lot. We took some amazing pictures. I highly recommend Verona Boat Rental. I think it's called Yum Yum. I have to look. But there are two places to have gelato in Verona. One of them is fine. Okay. Let's see. Gelato. Let's see. Bon Bon. So there's 3 different places that serve. One is pretty far away from the city. It's kind of off to the side. It's in Varenna, but it's a more like suburban, quiet area. It's not like downtown. It's a little bit of a walk. But there are two different places that have it right in the little downtown area. La Passerella, which it had like really cute flavors and like experimental flavors, but the consistency of it wasn't applauded like Bon Bon was. And I believe the people that do Bon Bon are part of a chain within, I know it sounds like, wait, a chain, Denise, within Italy. And it was wonderful, but it's still run by family owned, like, individual families. But I found their flavors to be good. I actually got the ricotta and dark cherry in it. It was delicious. Like ricotta cheese, sweetened with dark and sour cherries, I believe. So it was like sweet and crisp, and it was delicious. Delicious. Trying to think of what else. I think that's it for that. Highly recommend Varenna. On the way home, let's finish this story. Going back to the car story. Mr. Sith got in. We got down the corkscrew. We paid at the gate. We continued to go forward, and we were able to get through the town and through with no stalls. So it's like he finally got it. He was able to rest, relax. It was probably that boat ride. Just seeing all that beauty and chilling out and doing all of that. He was able, I believe, to just kind of like shake off the anxiety and the stress of driving there and just kind of relax and handle it like a boss on the way home. And he did. He dropped us off at home from Milan. We knew we had one more day in Milan after that. And then the next day was going to be a travel day. But we knew that after that we would be heading down to the next city, which was Parma. And we knew it was going to start getting hotter and hotter as the more south that we went. But we had never been to Parma. Obviously, Parma, home of Parma prosciutto, Parmigiano Reggiano. So we were really excited about being there. Those are my little words of wisdom for today, guys. A little shorter episode, but it was only a day trip. So there's that. You guys have an amazing Wednesday. And until next time, see you later. Bye.